Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of Just Say Guay. I'm your host, George Guay, and I'm joined by Doug Flutie. You may know as the BC football player who won the Heisman in 1984, had a great career in the NFL as well. Doug, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Love it. Enjoy it. Too much fun to sit around and do podcasts and just talk about the old days or talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. So, how are things right now as a BC alum? Are you watching the football team from afar? You see the Bill O'Brien changes. Hockey's playing well. What's this all like for you?
Hockey has been carrying the torch for Boston College athletics for a while now. Hockey always in the mix. Number one in the country right now. Have an opportunity to. I think they start the tournament real soon, if not today. So they're always carrying the torch for BC sports right now. Bill O'Brien at BC now as a head coach. It's exciting. The team has made some strides the last few years. Been very competitive. I don't know. College sports in general though has changed, and especially the football atmosphere. I don't like what's going on in college football, and it's kind of a turnoff. I do watch from afar, but I am not hands on anymore, and I just I enjoy watching BC when it's convenient, but it just the whole atmosphere and the attitude of players, coaches, coaches leaving every other year, players coming in and out, and transfer portal and all that. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how it's all changed. I was used to it a certain way as well growing up, and it seems like it's completely flipped. So, just want to talk about, your move from Florida to Boston. You played football at Natick High School. Just what was that experience like to, play in the Boston area and then get that scholarship from Boston College?
Yeah, I was 13 years old when I moved to the Boston area, and I grew up on the beach in Florida. So I was not real excited about heading north, but my dad knew what he was doing. My dad said, "Hey, from an educational standpoint, we have to be in the Boston area, or get out of the area I was in Florida." And it all seemed to work out. I don't know, from a football standpoint, sports standpoint, education standpoint, it just I was very fortunate to get a Division I scholarship at BC. I was more an Ivy League type kid, had a lot of 1AA interest, and then last minute Boston College offered me two of the they had a coaching change, number one, and number two, the two quarterbacks they really wanted went elsewhere, so they kind of offered me late. So I was very, very fortunate to wind up with a Division I scholarship.
Yeah, that's great how it works out. And you mentioned the other guys leaving, you get that opportunity. You got to play as a freshman. I was just wondering, what is that year like with a lot of pressure? And also, you got to work with Tom Coughlin, who won those Super Bowls with the Giants.
I just had this conversation. A buddy of mine, Dave Pereira, strong safety with that team, he and I, same year at Boston College. Um, we just met up and had lunch together. And we're kind of rehashing how that opportunity came about. I was not highly recruited. I traveled only because I was a backup punt returner to Brian Brennan, and he had a little tweak in his hamstring. I was really the fourth quarterback at that time, but the other three guys had opportunities to play and not played well. So we're down 38-0 to Penn State. And I just happened to be there, and the coach was like, "You're up next," because the other guys have had their shot. And I'm like, "Yeah." I thought they would not put me in the game because I'd never really run an offensive play with the offensive end of the field. I was always running scout team down the other end off cards. I even called plays in the huddle. So it was like, "Oh, sure, you're going to put me in the game." And sure enough, you get into the fourth quarter, Doug, you're up. Warmed up, went in the game, and guys were running the plays into me, and I was just memorizing the call and repeating it in the huddle, and then asking guys what they were running. It was like this was fly by the seat of your pants stuff. It was like first play came, it was I right sprint right 49. I'm like, I know this one. It's a sprint out. You're running the comeback. What are you running? Oh, I have a corner route. Okay, here we go. And we ran it that way. The next one comes in. It's I left sprint left 49. Oh, I know this. We just ran it. That was what it was like. But I completed my first four passes and we were in the end zone. And it kind of took off from there. It's a lot of fun to think back. Tom Coughlin, in fact, the conversation between Tom Coughlin's upstairs in the booth, right? He's play caller. Jack McNell's on the sideline, and Jack has his armor out. He's a good old boy. He's like, go get him. And Tom is yelling at Jack what are you putting that kid in? He doesn't know what he's doing. What are you putting him in the game for? Blah, blah, blah. Because Tom is like very detailed down to the last detail. And Jack was like, no, we got to see if the kid can play and put him in. So it was kind of a fly by the seat of your pants operation at that time. And then I was very fortunate that Tom Coughlin was my offense coordinator because he helped me get to where I got at the college level.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really awesome that you handled it right away. And then sooner down the road, you guys had some success. You guys make your first bowl game in 40 years, and we get into the '84 season. You win your first bowl game, first BC bowl game victory in 44 years since 1940. And how important was it for you just to have not only individual success but team success as well, and putting Boston College on the map? Because I've seen hundreds of college athletes that don't get that both team and individual success.
What is crazy, and we were talking about this from a team standpoint. The only reason I was in the mix for the Heisman was because we had a good football team. We had a great football team my junior year. We still think we might have been more talented my junior year than my senior year. That class of '83 was amazing. But the relationships that you build, like we spent 4 years together, schools like Boston College, Wake Forest, we were able to compete because you found the diamond in a rough recruit that developed while he was at school. And then by his junior, senior year, they're helping you win. Where the big time schools got these 5-star recruits that come in and play right away, play for a couple of years and leave to the pros. The 4th and 5th year guys are what made your program good. And we lived together. We ate together. We hung out. It was travel. It was everything. You become a tight knit group. And that doesn't happen anymore. These kids are one and done, moving on to another school. Who's offering me more money for my NIL? Who's going? And they don't, there's no loyalty to each other, no loyalty to the coaching staff, no loyalty to the school. They're going where the money is, not where they want to go to school, not where they want to learn to develop as a, and Nick Saban talked about it. He and his wife, developing young men. It's not like that anymore. It's not about that anymore. And that's what we were. We were inseparable. Like I said, I just had lunch with one of the guys from the team. That doesn't, and I said to him, right, that doesn't happen nowadays. This group of college kids, they're not going to be getting together with their teammates 40 years down the road. It's like, oh yeah, I won here, so I went there, and then we won there, and then I went pro, and then it's just so different now, and that was so special to us during that time period of just lifelong friends, guys that you went through something with. It was really special.
Yeah, I love hearing this because we see how much it's changing, and I think that you don't want to see how much it's changing, given the fact that what it was is so great. And I love what Nick Saban said on Capitol Hill. You just times are changing so much. The unions with Dartmouth basketball, if that goes through, a lot of other schools are going to want to do the same thing, and it just doesn't really make sense. We'll see what happens down the road, but definitely not great times coming with all that stuff off the field. So, what do you guys
When the NIL started, Kirk Herbstreit and I had this conversation. I said, Kirk, what it's going to eventually be is each school will own a football team. Like, I don't know why the kids are going to class anymore. If they want to, great, but they shouldn't have to because they're getting paid. They're getting paid to play. Your number one priority is playing. And I said, what's going to happen is Boston College will have a football, Alabama, LSU, they own a football team. It's like minor league football, being paid very well. And we own a team. And these are the guys we want to play on our team this year. Next year, we'll see if they make the team, or we'll look for more talent. And that's what it's becoming in college sports, is the colleges own a team, and it's a platform for these kids to make some money and be looked at until they go pro.
definitely?
They already are pro.
It's certainly becoming a business, and I agree with you a lot of times in the wrong ways. So, before we get into the Heisman, I just want to talk about the Hail Mary play. I just wanted to know, what did you see on that play and just how it unfolded, and when it happened, did you realize what you did?
I'm trying to think if I have any memory. This is kind of some memorabilia in this room, and mostly this is music stuff. So it's all in the other room. I was looking for the ball. As far as that play, we'd run, and I've seen the video more recently than way back. At the end of the half against Temple, we ran a Hail Mary, and it looks identical to the Miami play. I avoid rush. I roll right. I kind of on the fly, turn it loose. Gerard catches it in the middle of a group of guys right at the goal line for a touchdown. So when we call this play, we we've had success in the past, and we expect to have a chance. It's a crapshoot, but you expect to really have a chance. There was an inadvertent whistle, and I walk over and tell the tight end on the backside who's supposed to be in pass protection. I was like, "Hey, Pete Casparilla, backup tight end, was in. Go get wide and go long down the boundary. I might roll right, look back, and throw left." Well, when I rolled right and got out there, I think it was a linebacker was running at me, so I didn't really have time to. I would really have to set my feet to stop and go back the other way. So guys running, I said, "Screw it, turn it loose, throw for the end zone." Gerard catches it. History, blah blah blah. Pete meets up with me towards the locker room. He's like, "Hey, we had a chance." For 35 years, I'm hearing him. "Yeah, we had a chance. We had a chance in the back. We had." So on the 35th anniversary of it, I see a different camera angle, an angle I've never seen. And I have it on my phone now, and a picture of Pete. He is all by himself at the 10-yard line on the backside. If I had thrown back, he would have walked in the end. So he's like, "I'm glad you didn't throw it. I would have dropped it anyway." But he he had a legit chance, but it would have been a matter. It would have been like a race because the guy that made the play happen for us was the backside corner, drifted across the field. Safety's in a position to make a play. They're going up to make it. The backside corner bumps into the safety. The ball goes between the two of them. Gerard catches it. So because the backside corner was all the way over there, Pete was by himself at the 10-yard line on the backside.
Yeah, what a play. And, I actually hosted David Tyree about a couple months ago. The guy who made the Super Bowl helmet catch. And I asked him, what was it like just seeing Super Bowl plays like that since, like the Malcolm Butler play? And we've seen the Hail Mary since. We've seen Aaron Rodgers do it a couple times. What's it like seeing the play since it's happened from your experience?
It just always brings a smile to my face. It was one of those things that it's the icebreaker for people in conversation. They're always going to bring it up to me. So when I see it, it still brings a smile to my face. I still can't believe that Gerard, he had a fraction of a second. The two guys bump into each other. The ball goes through. He had a fraction of a second. He lost sight of it, had to regain, and caught it kind of in his belly and down on his thigh. I see all the faces of the guy. What I look at are the celebrations, the guys jumping on each other. The coach Vic had his headset, got kind of tied up with the headset, couldn't get it off, and he's getting down the sideline and all those little things. There's a picture, an iconic picture from it of me and Steve Trapillo's arm. Steve Trapillo was a first-round draft choice offensive lineman. He's since passed. There's a picture of me and my brother Darren's arm, which is really cool, where I'm facing the camera. You see Flutie on the back of his jersey. And it just, all those moments come rushing back every time I see it.
Yeah, what a moment. And I love how in sports, those moments live on forever. And even when you see a thing like Aaron Rodgers, something like that, or a big play in the Super Bowl, you just know, hey, Flutie was the first to do it. And that's
Well, Aaron Rodgers made it so commonplace. He was doing it every other weekend for a while there. So I always said it belittles what we did because he makes it look so easy. But back when we did it, it was one of the first that was in a big game and all that. So it makes it very memorable. But still, it's amazing how many have been completed, and yet ours seem pretty special.
Definitely. What a moment. It's going to live on forever, no matter who pulls it off in the NFL. So, just want to ask about winning the Heisman. My question about it, two questions actually. What was it like winning it? But also, what does it feel like knowing who you joined at the time and also who's come after you?
Yeah, the big part of it, the amazing thing for me, like I said, I wasn't a big time recruit. So winning the Heisman wasn't even like set on the agenda, on the goals. That was so far out of reach. But like I said, it was because our team had so much success, and I was one of the leaders of the team and the main focal point from the media. It became a possibility. Winning it in the moment, I think I just did a little video this year with the Heisman people that's been out online. In the moment, it's a big deal. It's an award that you want. It's unbelievable, all that. But the real rewards come down the road when you build relationships with all the former winners. All the Heisman winners get together every year. It's a special fraternity that the bond grows over the years. You get to know each other's families. There's a hospitality suite each week at Heisman where guys are getting together, and the storytelling that goes on in that room should be recorded because it's absolutely amazing. So it's just a fun group to see every year and be a part of that. And from here on out, you're always known as a Heisman Trophy winner and part of that fraternity. The day of the Heisman was pretty wild. We played Holy Cross that day. We had a game that day. Right after the game, I jumped on a private plane with my family. We headed to Jersey to Teterboro. My wife and I, my girlfriend at the time, Laurie, my wife and I jump in a helicopter, come over to Downtown Athletic Club. We actually had a little extra time and got permission to give us a little tour around New York, from the helicopter. We land across the street. We jump in a damn limo and go 100 yards across the street to the Downtown Athletic Club. And then, we get there about 20 minutes before the ceremony started. So it was kind of a whirlwind day, especially as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old. And I've never done anything like that in my life. And it was a pretty cool day.
Yeah, what a moment. And to be able to share it with all the people around you, that's so awesome. What I love about that award is you mentioned the stories, and it is one of the only major awards, maybe besides the Masters, where people come back and share the moment of when they won it and the people around them who've won it since. And I love when you're seeing you on TV come back for the award. Guys like Tim Tebow, many years later, they still come back. It's really truly special, and it's going to keep going. So, just want to talk about the NFL and playing quarterback and things like that. You moved around to a lot of different teams, and I was just wondering, you got your time in Buffalo and was able to make the Pro Bowl. When you talk to people about your time in the NFL, is it trying to preach to people, hey, you're going to get your opportunity at one point and you got to make the most of it?
I think my biggest frustration was not staying in one spot and being able to build. When you can stay in one spot in the same offense and build, it becomes second nature, it becomes easy. I had a little of that in the CFL. I think when talking to other players, the opportunity is going to present itself once or twice at the top. When you get your chance, you have to take advantage of it. You have to be ready. I think the niche that I built for myself in the NFL was as a backup, being prepared and being able to step on the field and play without all the practice prep and all that. And there's a little niche there for guys that are studious, guys that are good about their preparation, because there's been a lot of backups over the years that are very talented guys, and all of a sudden their moment comes and they're not ready because they've been a little bit lazy. Because I'll tell you, my last year with Tom Brady, I got lazy. I was sitting behind Tom, and I knew Tom doesn't get hurt. He's always prepared. He's ready to play. He's going to be the top. You're not going to see the field playing behind Tom. And it's very easy to get lazy playing behind a superstar because you just depend on this guy to get it done, and you start cutting corners. You just get a little lazy during the week. But there's a niche for the guy that prepares, is ready, and can step on the field without the reps in practice and go out and perform, because that's a very difficult job.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I was wondering if you had this kind of same experience. I know Brady was a lot more younger when his name was called, and I saw this a lot in the dynasty, where after he started winning games, kind of the locker room shifted, saying, "Oh, when the person who gets hurt comes back, we're going to give the team back to him." I mean, was that something you kind of had to fight through in terms of just, hey guys, I'm winning games, until I get asked to sit down again, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's a real fine line, because when the guy that is supposed to be the backup is outperforming the guy making all the money and the starter, the guy that's been signed to a big deal, in the NFL, the money talks. So if you replace a guy that's making a lot more money than you, then the GM and the head coach and all the administrative people, they've made mistakes in their, so they're very defensive about their guy that they're committed to. And it becomes a little bit of a headache. That's a tough thing for a GM or an assistant GM or personnel people to swallow, when they've signed this guy to a lot of money and now all of a sudden he's not performing and the backup is shining a little bit. It's a tough locker room thing. I ran into that in Buffalo, where I was making 200 grand and the starter was making, well over a couple of million a year. I forget what he was making at the time. But it just, it can be divisive, and you just keep your mouth shut and you play hard. Let the decisions happen as they will, and just be ready to play when you're asked to play. Um, but you've seen it a couple of times, and you see it throughout. Every year, there's a situation of that comes up where a backup goes in and starts to win, and you don't want to mess with success and momentum of a team. So it becomes a dicey situation.
Yeah, wild situation for sure, and you definitely had the right mindset for it. So, what did it mean to you and your family just to be able to, finish off your career in New England? You played here at Boston College, and you got to finish off with the Patriots. I mean, how great was that?
Yeah, I had a chance to play with the Patriots in the late '80s, and then the whirlwind tour around the two countries for a career. But getting back there in my last year was important for a couple of reasons. My daughter was going into her senior year of high school. She had been going a half a year in Boston and a half a year wherever I happened to be playing. And then we did some home schooling as well while we were in Toronto. But so she had her childhood friends that I wanted her to be able to graduate with. And to get back to New England for her entire senior year, I thought was a big deal from her standpoint, from a uh, giving her a peace of mind and allowing her to just be with her friends throughout her senior year and graduating back in the Boston area in Natick. Natick I'm wearing proudly right now. I thought that was the most important aspect of that whole thing. And then for me to be able to play in New England for my last year was a big deal for me, as well as Bill Belichick allowing us to, and doing the drop kick as my last play in my career, and being in New England for it was all pretty cool. It all kind of came together. The only thing that fell short was that we didn't win a Super Bowl. I had the pom poms out all year rooting for Tom to win me a Super Bowl. It just didn't happen. There's Tom over here is Batman, that's my old Buffalo jersey on Robin. So it should, that right there just says it, pretty much says it all.
That's awesome, and to be able to finish where it started, just football. I know that you moved to Boston, but play at BC, finish in New England. Can't write it better than that. So just want to ask about the whole Batman thing because I talked about this with Steve Burton, and I figured I was going to have to ask the question with kind of no context, but given the background, I think it's definitely something we can talk about. What's been your thing with Batman?
That kind of came out of the blue. It was actually just before COVID really got rolling, and we're just sitting around. My wife was on her laptop, and she's like, stumbled on a website. Do you know you can build a Batmobile? And I'm like, what? And we joked about it for like 9 months. I always loved the Batmobile. I wasn't like a comic book geek, a Batman guy, all that, but I loved the Batmobile. And so I joked about it for about a year, and then sure enough, called the guy, and it was very doable. But the guy that builds, it takes like he says a year and a half. It's more like 4 years to get your car, but I was already hooked by that time. So I bought an older one, and then just recently got a newer one off a beautiful build that is an immaculate car. But that started. So while I'm waiting for the car, everybody else got on the Batman thing with me. And so that every gift, every birthday, every Christmas, every whatever, I'm getting Batman paraphernalia as a gift. So it all collects. So I got all this stuff. So while I'm waiting for the car, I built kind of a bat cave in the garage to put the car, and then stumbled on the opportunity to get an '89 Michael Keaton Batmobile as well. So I have a '66 and an '89. And now that I have the newer immaculate one, I'm actually selling the older '66 that I have. And it's become a whole, taken on a life of its own. It's kind of ridiculous. But that actually right here, this guitar is back in 1966. George Barris put his name on they made it like a Batmobile colors and whatever, the black and orange. And they built 100 of them. And that's kind of a collectible guitar that George Barris, the guy that designed the Batmobile, also signed and put out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what a thing to get into, and just some of the things you love in life. It's awesome how it works out. And I love that you keep going into it with Batman. So, I like always talking about people who have retired from their sport, the things that they do in post-retirement. I was just wondering if you could get into your work in the autism community, what it's meant to you, and to conclude with it, where it's going.
Well, it's kind of funny. It was towards the end of my career, really, that, well, Dougie was diagnosed. He's about 3 years old. We decided to start the foundation. Um, and I played a 21-year football career. I've already done the foundation for 25 years. This is going to be our life's work. The foundation is just a big part of our lives. My wife and I, Laurie. Um, we had our big 25th year celebration at Fenway Park last year. And what we've done, I think in the beginning, I was very proud of the fact that we created awareness that was not there before and brought attention to a problem. And now there are a lot of other foundations out there that are helping, that are raising money towards this end. But I think our number one focus has been families, taking some pressure off the families, whether it's through um, grants, schooling, I don't care if it's toys, if it's camps, you name it, anything to help take the pressure off the parents, because it's a full-time job. It's like having an infant for life, and having to be there for them constantly. So whatever we can do to help the kids live their lives to the fullest, we're going to do. And especially in this situation where parents are in need of help, either financially or just support, we're going to be there for them. So it's been 25 years in running. We've got a day of giving coming up with Jersey Mike's been a great sponsor of ours for the last few years. And on Wednesday in the New England area, they do a day of giving, and it'll be towards the Flutie Foundation. So I'll be up there making the rounds to all the Jersey Mikes.
Yeah, that'll be a great event, and I love that you get involved and still involved with the autism community. You know, a lot of people think that what you've done at BC is so big, but I think this is definitely bigger. Uh, Doug, good luck. Good luck with the event. Thanks for doing this podcast, and we'll stay in touch.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one.